meltiness of chocolate is very much a part of the experience.
That's what your mouth's for.
No, what you get is
Please
like a
pull that as a quote. But that's what your mouth's for.
Hello, dear listener.
You get
join
like a
us.
clagginess.
Episode chat. Ben is explaining to me why beer and chocolate do not go well together. And it's because the beer would stop the chocolate from melting? Is that the theory?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that what you probably get is like it starts to melt in your mouth, and you take like some beer, and then you get like it doesn't split, but you almost have that sort of, it changes the texture of the chocolate. Doesn't work.
So that's interesting, but I hear your argument, and I can't quite fully enter into it because I don't drink alcohol really, but I hear your argument. I counter with a Magnum.
Of why?
She's got you there.
That's cold ice cream. That's cold ice cream. That's covered in cold chocolate.
But whenever I eat that, I don't know how other people do it.
Please mime how you do it, Ben.
I chip off all the chocolate first and then just eat the ice cream afterwards.
Actually, this is true. I do that until the ice cream starts to lose structural integrity, and then you're in a race against time and the sofa.
No. Russell taught me this amazing trick where you take the Magnum out of the freezer and you leave it for a couple of minutes, and then what happens is you get the snap of the chocolate still, but the ice cream has gone a bit softer, and it just makes it a more pleasing mouthfeel.
But Annekoos,
yes,
that would involve delayed gratification. Which,
correct.
For me, is a real struggle.
Are you eating a Reese's Pieces?
No, because they're
Peanut
evil,
butter cup.
They're bastards, and I will never forgive them for what they did to me.
What did they do to you?
You remember this, the commercial, the bad commercial? Shoot. Forefront of nudity?
Yes.
That was Reese's Pieces.
Oh, where they didn't cover your Reese's Pieces.
I'm John. I'm traumatized, and you're about to hear about it. Well, probably not, hopefully, but I am traumatized. We have gone to the pub after last week's episode in which Annekoos and Ben escaped the Wicker Man that Jamie had so cruelly left them in the week before. Successfully, with 1 minute to go, a little bit of help, and a fair bit of unnecessarily expelled But we'll come to that in a minute. We sit in the pub. What is the name of the pub, guys? Anyone got a good pub name? I was thinking the Golden Shower off of that, but it's a bit too easy.
No.
The only one that had popped in my mind was the Splintered Arse, because presumably Wicker could give you a splinter.
What?
And chairs are made
Is that an actual pub name?
I don't know. But it feels
Who
like...
would go to the Splintered Arse? Oh, I'm just going to go for a quick pint at the Splintered Arse. What? I'm sure in certain parts of the UK, you might as well call the local pub that.
It would, I'm sure, just get shortened to "we're going down the arse."
Oh, God. Well, this has descended quickly.
See, I was thinking something like the Wicker and the Forge or something, the Forge and Wicker or...
Okay, let's go with the Forge and Wicker brackets going down the arse.
Oh my God.
Welcome to the Forge and Wicker, everybody, where everything is made of wicker, even the beer pumps. Or arse, for even the clients. My name's Jonathan David Charles Saunders II, and I have before me a drink. And this drink is the second time in my life ever that I have owned a non-alcoholic beer. The last one was a Guinness, and it was remarkably good. And I thought, well, why stop there on something that was quite nice? Why not just ruin it? So I have got Aldi's knockoff. It's their knockoff Stella Artois, which is called Saint Etienne. And the normal one's fine, in the way they're all kind of fine. And this is the 0% one. So here we go. First taste. It's okay. It's okay. It's definitely missing something in the way that non-alcoholic Guinness is not. But it's not committing that terrible sin that non-alcoholic wine often does, of just tasting like fucking fruit juice, just tasting nothing like the thing it's supposed to be imitating. That's passable-ish, maybe.
It's the kind of thing you can expect at the Arse.
Yeah. It is a little bit like a bottle of arse, to be honest with you. But I'm pairing it with some Fox's chocolate rounds.
Again, Jonathan, you say this as if you have often gone down an arse, and you may have done. I don't know. This is maybe a channel of investigation that I don't actually want to go down, but
a valley, you might say.
A cleft.
A cleft of investigation. You say this as I'm like chewing on chocolate biscuits. This should put me off, but it doesn't. Nothing does.
What kind of chocolate biscuits have you got, John?
I've got the Foxes.
Oh, yeah.
Lovely round ones with the unnecessary hole in the middle. Like an arse.
Oh, my God.
But don't you think, right? They may go.
I don't think, Ben. This has been proven many times.
Don't you think that they would go much better with a cup of tea or chocolate or coffee?
No, they should serve these in pubs, these little chocky bickies, and I'd be there all night. All night. Introduce yourself, guys.
Hi, I'm Annekoos, and I am locked in with another delicious cup of Clipper's Sleep Easy Sleep Infusion. And to accompany that, I didn't realize that the boys were talking about chocolate and beer, but I have got Montezuma's Butter Nutter Peanut Butter Truffle Center bar. And would I like to be sponsored by them? Yes, I would. Because we were talking earlier about Reese's peanut butter pieces. What are they called?
Reese's Pieces, yeah.
Reese's Pieces or Reese's peanut butter cups, which, are made with a chocolate flavored candy, I think, and a peanut flavored center.
I'd say that's accurate.
Are incredibly delicious and addictive because probably they're made with crack as well, but they don't list that in the ingredients. But this is a slightly more, hopefully ethical version of it, and it's got actual chocolate, and it's delicious.
Yeah, you've done a couple of really solid plugs there, Annekoos. If we were actually sponsored by these products, then you'd be doing a great job. Now you're eating a banana.
I just remember, Jonathan, that once, I haven't eaten it yet, but I just remember, Jonathan, once you did one of these episodes while you were chomping on a bar of chocolate that
I did.
Somebody had sent you because they were sponsoring you or you were sponsoring them, or
yes,
some kind of reciprocal agreement was happening, and part of that deal was that you got sent the chocolate and then you proceeded to shove the chocolate into your gob right in front of us, which just felt really unfair because I don't think I had chocolate at that time.
Whilst commenting in muffled tones,
yeah, you're
how delicious it was. It's really nice.
Yeah. It was like Augustus Gloop.
For that.
Yeah.
I apologise profusely for doing that. That is establishing the room. I will not do it again. Oh, so good. Hello, Ben.
And I'm Ben Levy Griffiths, and this week
that looks very dark, Ben. That looks like a proper stout. Is it?
It's not a stout. No, it's a lovely sort of brown ale. But I think it might be an export and like 7% or something.
Lovely, lovely, very good stuff. So, having introduced ourselves, let us cut straight to last week's room. Now, I thought this was going to be really easy. I thought the logic was clear. I thought the word puzzle at the beginning was quite straightforward. I thought the demonstration of how to get things was clearly framed, and all you had to do was repeat that method with other items, basically. There was actually a much more complicated version of this where you had to get iron from steel. Which is chemically possible, but very difficult. And I scratched it because I just thought, that's just not fun. That's just irritating.
I think for me, the way it fell down was twofold. One, maybe three, actually. One was, we were talking a little bit before we started recording, sort of the dead space.
Preamble.
In the preamble. We were talking about how you liked the idea of people having to work together and there having to be two of you doing things. So I kind of set that in my mind. So when you gave us
thought that was a hint.
Yeah, exactly.
No, Ben, no.
Or rather not a hint preceding it, but then when you said because you can't do it by yourself, it's good that Ben's here. Suddenly I was like, we have to do something together because John really likes that construct, right?
Oh, no.
I thought it was, I didn't think you were consciously planting that there, but it was, in your head because of the puzzle.
I was very pleased with myself when I said that because Annekoos took it completely the wrong way immediately and took it personally as a criticism of her ample intellect, which it was not. It was merely a statement of fact.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also a statement of fact to say that there are gaps in my intellect, there are gaps in my knowledge. So,
but you needed some intellect. But you didn't need any knowledge for this.
No, I needed
what had happened before.
Is it a Y chromosome?
Well, we needed one in the room in order to get a dead one or get another one. basically.
Yeah.
And I was very pleased when I said, what were the words I used? That I'm so glad Ben's here because Annekoos couldn't do this room on her own. And you looked up Annekoos with this you were initially hurt and then you covered it very quickly. And I thought inside she's going, fuck you prick, which I think you were. And hopefully maybe now you've realised why I said that.
No, I'm still doing that. No.
Okay.
I still feel like you insulted my intelligence.
If I'd pulled out last minute and it was just Annekoos by herself.
Yeah, and you'd have gone, so you can't solve this, Annekoos. Great.
If Ben had pulled out of the arse last minute. Okay. Sorry, I'm just joining the dots of what you just said.
The other thing I kind of missed.
True, actually. Had this been a female-only recording, I would have had to rewrite that section toot sweet because it required a man. In fact, to be honest, now I'm sort of reading back, the whole thing was really quite patriarchal.
Yes. Big part of what I responded to is this kind of, and the whole you need to forge a man to bring her to life, and I thought, no,
it was all
women can have their own lives
and misogynistic. Yeah. I feel like though, if we're in the world of Wicker men burning people alive in human sacrifice, it's
Yeah, no, it's true. That's why I thought maybe there's like a marriage going on there, like a Wiccan marriage ceremony, or
Fair enough. That to one side, how did you guys find the central problems of the puzzle?
I didn't get. I got this idea that the water would we could grab the water and it would come back, but the water didn't come back. It didn't sort of multiply. It moved back, right? It
just returned,
disappeared. Yeah. I struggled. It was a bit of a leap for me to think that we could put something else there and we would get more of it. The coal. I think we did it with the coal first. The coal would simply disappear from there and then return to the chute.
Oh, I see. No, you're right. You're quite right. So what I was trying to demonstrate with the water over the top of the heart pedestal was that this is a representation of what the Wicker Man is trying to get. At all times, and that he looks down at the burning feet, groans in pain, and then the water appears above the heart's pedestal, and he walks towards the water. You take the water away, he stops walking, but then the same thing happens again, as in, oh, my feet are on fire, I need to do something about that. The water appears again. So I'll be honest, I hadn't written down the exact turn of phrase I was going to use for how the water returns to the pedestal. It just hadn't occurred to me that was critical. And then when I said it, you took meaning from my particular turn of phrase there that I had never intended or even thought would be particularly relevant. And then you took that into your understanding of how this mechanism was working. So that's on me very much. I should have carefully scripted exactly what happens to the water just to make it super clear what is affecting what there. Because I think we ended up with a bit of a, is the dog wagging the tail or is the tail wagging the dog? What's making what happen? These things are clearly related, but which of them is causing which? Had I made that clearer, I think you probably, or you might have leapt to that more readily.
Possibly. I think for me, I don't know about you. I think for me, once we kind of figured that bit out, I quite like the mechanism. The thing then was figuring out when the mechanism worked.
Yeah, God. Amazingly, and this sounds so daft, but amazingly, it hadn't occurred to me that you'd shove stuff you didn't need in there. I mean, I suppose I could have just run with it and gone, okay, he retrieves a bunch of dinner jackets with amazing precision. You now have 20 dinner jackets. Congratulations.
I think to be honest, that would have
the local conservative club is naked.
Yeah, that would have brought us great joy. But yeah, I agree. I agree because I thought, you had the 3 rooms, and so it seemed like there were those 3 different things that you had to get. And obviously, you had to get the coal, you had to get the sheep, and then you had to get the man. Oh, I guess the man was represented by the double bread. No, I guess it's because the sheep was represented in the cavity.
Oh, I see. Yes.
So I guess I was expecting, the things that represented
it. You were expecting the item in each cavity to represent it. Oh, no. I just wanted there to be enough room for the stuff.
Right.
To be honest. And I needed another place to hide some of the writing. So I put it in the 3rd storage area.
Right.
Just so it was kind of scattered around. And then one of them hard to find inside the fuel chute. I hadn't.
Sorry, the fuel chute, the writing on that was interesting. It was I've spoken about this recently. I can't remember whether it was with you, John, or with Jamie. That can I interact with this piece of whatever, this object?
Yeah.
Can I look at this object? Right. I know that Tony's before said, and I look at the desk, and I've gone, yeah, it's a desk. And what I want you to do is to say, I look under the desk. I look under the desk or something like that.
Yeah.
I'll then reveal there's something there.
Yes. And you go, I look at the forge, and I'm like, yeah, it's a forge.
Yeah.
Okay. It's got a chute on the side of it. It's got an open door and a couple of things inside.
Yeah, I think that's also where I thought, oh, you're not giving as much away as maybe you have done, or maybe I was just expecting more for some reason. Because I was like, oh, well, there's clearly stuff here, but you're not giving it to us unless we almost do like the Dungeons and Dragons, like, give me 20. Can we take 20?
Yeah.
But I think you steered us very naturally to then look at that and inspect it a bit closely.
Yeah, hopefully. It's such a hard thing, isn't it? Because it's the find. It's the problem with the find. And in a real-life escape room, the find can be an absolute nightmare. Or it can be very easy, or can be this one tiny piece of listen that someone shoved in their pocket. Like, there's so many ways that can go. There's so many ways that discovery can happen. But, yeah, we're limited to verbal language here. So you say, I look at something, and if there's an extra thing on that something, I'm kind of screwed. I've either got to give it to you very easily or wait for you to do the very, very specific thing that I need you to do to get to it. And I always struggle with that. So you end up kind of fudging it and going, that chute didn't have much. If there's a place you'd find fuel, it would probably be inside the chute, which feels bad. But I wonder if it is the only sensible way around it without just giving a ton of detail on things and then sort of hiding things in the trees there.
Speaking about hiding things, I was surprised you didn't hide anything in the jacket, even if perhaps a slight red herring.
I thought about putting the coal there in one of the pockets, but I wanted it to be kind of clear what that was for.
And you thought a conservative would never have a piece of coal in their pocket?
No, that would be more of a unionist thing to...
A conservative might have been a very naughty boy and been on Santa's
naughty list.
That is very conceivable, almost inevitable. I'd argue.
It's rubbish, isn't it? Just for being evil, they get free fuel.
Yeah. Very true. We're back to Sinterklaas.
There we go. No, if you're really bad at Sinterklaas, then
he takes you, doesn't he?
He takes you to Spain. Yeah.
To Spain. I love that. That's not Miranda. To Spain, that's the worst place imaginable to Dutch people. Spain. Why? Because we used to be at war with them. Oh, okay.
Well, yeah. And when were we at war with them? Back in 1500 and something.
Yeah.
And so when we still had Zwarte Piet, he's no longer Zwart, so he's no longer Black Peter, but the Peter tradition lives on. He always had a Spanish nobleman's or Spanish soldier kind of costume on. Okay. Again, from the 16th century, from when we were at war with Spain. There's a lot of unpicking to do there.
Yeah, the interactive history there is pretty...
Yeah. I also don't know, because Sinterklaas also travels on a steamboat, which, again, we don't quite know where that originated from them. Well, so he lives... I don't know if I told you this. He lives in Madrid all year round. And then towards the middle...
So he comes from Spain?
No, he's Turkish, as everybody knows. He was born in... I don't know why you're laughing, boys. He's a Turkish bishop.
I'm laughing at John.
Because this is St. Nicholas, isn't it?
This is St. Nicholas. Yeah, he was born in Myra, in Turkey.
Yeah.
And then I don't know how this...
Reconstituted those three lads and various miracles.
Yes, various miracles and all that kind of stuff. But actually, when we celebrate Sinterklaas, we don't care about all the miracles so much. We just know that he lives in Madrid most of the year round with his assortment of peats. And then sort of towards the beginning of November, middle of November, he travels from Madrid on a steamboat to the Netherlands.
Okay.
Again, I'm seeing squinty faces as if this is not totally normal. For those of you who are not quite au fait with how Spain and its geography works, Madrid is right in the middle of the country.
Yes. So
I don't know how well served it is by rivers and canals that go out to the sea. But, Sinterklaas makes it work because he's magical.
Well, Sinterklaas or class?
No.
Niklas.
No, Sint.
Sint is his first name. Really?
No, it's Sint for short, yeah.
Well, Sint, if you're out there, write in. Why do you do that? That's odd. And also, what do you do with all those captured children? Just returning to the room briefly before we move on. There was one failure of logic on you guys that I did not understand. I did not understand why it wasn't obvious what you have to do now.
What was that?
So I thought once you discovered how to get more stuff, once you discovered how to get the coal, everything would just kind of flow. And initially it did. Like, you needed the coal, you got more of you went, okay, wool, sheep skull, in, get some sheep, brilliant. We got the buttons, make the iron. But then when it was clear, and I was so glad because it didn't work initially, you made the doll, it didn't work. And then Ben immediately went back to the poem and said, forge her with a man to give her life. And I thought the next words out of one of your mouths would be, oh, we need a man then. We've got a man, Ben, get on the pedestal. We've got another man, brilliant. I thought, like, having used that mechanism to get your stuff for all the other elements of this recipe, you would then seek to use it again. But you didn't. You went on this incredible sort of strange journey which involved, do we have to marry her? Do we have to wee on her? Does Ben have to wee on her specifically? It was very thoughtful and very elaborate, but seemed to me to be missing the very obvious logical answer. What happened there? Do you have any sense of what happened there?
I totally think it made total sense how we were thinking about it. I still do.
Okay.
Because it wasn't like the forge her with a man. I thought, is that a metaphor
forge?
Something? Yeah. So we forged another man. So we forged her with a man.
I think that's the thing, is that I don't think it's usual to place humans into kilns.
No,
I mean,
I
true.
Don't, you would.
True.
I also, I'm not.
I would
sure.
argue that it's not usual to do any of these things.
No, I know, but it's touche. But I also not sure that placing a human body into a kiln would result in sort of a melting, more of a sort of burning and drying out.
You are aware that she then comes to life, right? So we are in the realm of magic.
No, I know, but that was a leap that I was struggling to make, and so very much like Annekoos, that I was thinking that it was a metaphor for something. It was, and I guess forge. Literally, there was a forge there, but you can forge friendships. You can forge. Do you know what I mean? That
but I do feel like with a forge there and the instruction, forge her with a man, you might go for the forge.
No.
But well, as well.
I mean, you might.
We'd already
listeners. Am I crazy here? Am I mad here? I feel like I'm not mad here.
From our point of view as well, we'd already used the forge, right? We hadn't used it correctly, but everything was seeming to line up correctly. And there's typically you only use things once.
Yeah,
this is true. That is interesting. I did not have a suitable mechanism in place for the forge to fail if you didn't have all the correct ingredients.
Yeah. Because I think that because we had successfully made her in the forge, we were like, well, the forging is done.
That's done.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then it was like, oh, we had to forge. Oh, maybe we have to forge him. And we did that, and then that didn't do anything. So that was...
Yeah, you were like, okay, I've got my doll.
Yeah.
That's finished.
Yeah.
And I thought it's a doll for the Wicker Man. So even though she's very small, I thought it was the doll for the Wicker Man. So I didn't think that it was anything to do with all these dead villagers that the Wicker Man kept picking out of.
Only because Ben kept making him do it again. Once he realised how it was done, I'll do it again.
I wish that I had muted myself on Discord and just been like, and I do it again, and I do it again, and I do it again, so that when you came to edit it, you two just be talking, then be going, and I do it again.
Can we please not get into ways to fuck up the editor? Because there are many ways to do this. Clapping at random times in the recording, especially early on, back to it. There's various methods. Please don't do that. Please don't do that. It's hard enough. It's hard enough for my butterfingers. Okay, interesting.
So yeah, I don't think the link was as obvious as you think it is.
I mean, it never is.
It was once you sort of prompted us, and we got it right. We got it in the end.
And we did. That did lead to the best. That did lead to the best unintended hint of the episode, which was Annekoos couldn't do this on her own. So I think it led to a nice moment. It led to a kind of a good point. But yeah, how did I make it too hard again? I specifically intended the interactions here to be logical, straightforward, and clear, and it turns out they were none of these things.
Correct.
I love the fact. I love the fact that this was a simple episode that was clearly logical, and yet we have again a John puzzle where you have some interaction which is definitely not normal, and like you set it all up for us, right? You set it all up like here's this interaction that you're going to do, and now you should understand it. But it's not a typical everyday interaction.
This is like
now you've
when
got
I had what was it when I had a?
It was the going back and forth in time with a ladder or something. I can't. No, it wasn't.
Well,
it was
there
the
was
sign,
the
wasn't
change the
it?
crucifixion one, but there was also the one in the Madame Tussauds where it was like you could set a sign and a spider on it, and it sets the spider on fire.
Yeah, that was it.
And
yes.
it's like it's a magic thing that makes the thing happen.
And when you said it would be simple, I thought we wouldn't be having things like that.
This is arguably fair, and yet I somehow still feel betrayed.
That's on you, John.
I cannot explain why.
I genuinely enjoyed the puzzle. It was fun. I think we had some really nice interactions throughout the whole thing, and we got out right. We succeeded
with very little fudging. Annekoos, did you enjoy the puzzle? Because I feel like you just found it frustrating.
I think because I'm trying to think of sort of how it works logically in my brain, because you had like the three things that the woman needed, which was the iron and the hair and the buttons, and we've already had the buttons.
You kind of get for free.
Yeah, we got those for free, but then because you had the three cavities, so it seemed like there were three things you had to get.
But one of them was empty when you found it. It only had the writing in it.
I know, but so this is where I'm saying in my brain it's not quite as logical as I'd want it to be, because I'd want it to be cavities
so
with what, you know.
Let's delve into that for a minute, because you've decided something there that I would argue the room has not actually told you is the case. You've decided that each of those cavities is telling you something.
Correct.
About its ingredient.
Correct.
Now, the room, I would argue, doesn't actually steer you in that direction. You find a thing in each room, but you don't actually interact with the room any more than stuff ends up in there. And the third room, you don't find anything in. There's just some writing on the wall. It's not like the room says like you've put a thing in each of these spaces. In fact, I was quite vague about how they were termed, like storage areas or cavities or rooms or whatever. And the reason because I didn't want to give them importance. Like, they're just a place where these things can go that's locked from the outside with a big old door. That's all that matters here. But having kind of given that information, you guys then filled the gap with your own assumptions about what that meant.
Yes.
I think in height, and I think what you did was fine, and it was totally on us that's how we thought. In hindsight, it could have simply been a single cavity, right? And everything just piled up in there. That would have also worked. But I could also understand that as the creator, you'd have gone at the end. There would be a cavity for the coal, and a cavity for the sheep, and a cavity for the
for the man.
Dead bodies.
The bed is summoned.
And again, and again, and again, and again.
Yep. Yes, so I just sort of almost feel like the logistics of the room gave space for that, when what I should have done is not, and should have made the spaces make sense.
Given that
just
he was
for
reaching
the kind of puzzle logic
through the gate, right? Open up the door and reach through. He could have simply dumped the item in the middle of the room, in piles, and that would be fine. But I can completely understand that's not where my mind would have gone. My mind would have gone 3 compartments, 3 things. That makes sense.
Yeah. And not put any further kind of importance on them, but then Annekoos' mind put a lot of importance on them and what they meant, and
because the sheep was in a specific place, And so once we started, we went, oh, the sheep. Okay. So because I think the sheep the first thing that we put into the heart place.
The coal was.
Oh, was
coal
it?
was the first thing.
Okay.
And the coal was in the chute. The coal was nowhere near.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know why, but in my head, it just sort of made sense.
I don't think this is necessary. Like, I'm not blaming you. But it's an interesting observation. I've seen people like do that loads, where they observe something. They see a pattern in the thing they've observed. They believe that pattern to be significant because they're looking for patterns in things right now.
100%.
And they lock onto that and then view everything else through that pattern that they've observed. And what they need to do is be able at a certain point to go, okay, nothing makes sense if I view it through that pattern. I need to let that go, or I need to step back from that. But instead, we cling to it. We cling to the crumb of evidence that we feel that we already have and continue to view everything through that, even when it doesn't make sense anymore.
I have evidence.
Or even if it's unhelpful.
I have evidence of me seeing patterns in things from a very young age. I remember I was about 3 or 4, and a group, like a youth choir, came to do a show, and they were really tired. I think things had gone wrong with traveling, and they were, I don't know, malnourished, or I don't know what was going on. And as they were singing in a beautiful choir formation, kids literally physically dropped. So, one on one end of the stage just sort of went down, fainted.
Just went down.
And yeah, exactly. And was, I don't know, carted off by some of the youth leaders or something.
My God.
And then another one on the other side. And I remember distinctly going, this is part of it. Because the grown-ups in the room were so like, oh, keep on singing, children, and just sort of parting them up. And so I just kind of went, okay, so if it was the second row, it was the second from the left on the second row, then now the next person to go down should be, top right on the back row. And then it wasn't that. And I was like, hang on, it's a different
code. Annekoos, you're right in my next room for me. This is great.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
That's interesting, though, that your kid brain goes, ooh, what does this mean?
Yeah. I was like, it must have a pattern. It can't be random.
They're fainting. It goes, this must mean something.
Well, because I was only 3 or 4, so I don't know that I knew what fainting was. And because they all kept singing, like nobody went, what?
Yeah.
Gary's just fainted. They just kind of went, la, 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 la.
They carry on, yeah.
And carried on. So I thought, well, then this must be, clearly I had some idea of what a rehearsed thing might be. But so clearly I had this idea of, this is rehearsed, this is part of it, and there's a pleasing synchronicity, or there's a pleasing sort of rhythm or pattern to it, because we're at music.
Yeah.
And then there wasn't. Turned out they were just really tired and I don't know, malnourished or something like that.
And mass faintings are a thing. This has been observed.
Yeah.
Various incidents, and been followed by investigations, particularly among children. Been followed by deep investigations. Was there something in the air? Was there something like in something they drank or ate? But it appears to be a psychological effect. A big group of people, again, often like tired, exhausted, run down.
And I mean, they're singing, right? So that already alters the sort of the amount of oxygen that you've got in you. Yeah.
And this weird thing can happen where someone faints and then other people start to as well.
Yep.
And everyone's fine in the end, but they all go down together.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say that you were, when you were younger, you seeing patterns, and you'd been streaking some hagelslag and saw something in it.
I mean, all Dutch kids see visions in the hagelslag, obviously.
Yeah. What is hagelslag?
You don't know what hagelslag is? I'm so pleased that Ben knows what hagelslag is. And not only that he knows what hagelslag is, but also that he knows roughly how to pronounce it. So that was a very good pronunciation of hagelslag. I instantly knew what you meant. Hagelslag, literally translated, is hail beat, basically. And it is a chocolate. It doesn't have to be chocolate because they also have a fruit version. But it's like hundreds and thousands, but better. And we don't put it on cake necessarily. We put it on our bread.
You just wolf it.
No, you put it on your bread. So you have a good
like
slice
rice crackers as well.
Sure.
Yeah.
You put hundreds of thousands, but better on bread.
Yeah. So hundreds and thousands are made of like sugar, but with like a little bit of a chocolate flavor. And hagelslag is the bits, I guess, they're a bit thicker and they're a bit wider and longer. and they're made of a more chocolatey substance. And you have ribbon versions as well, which are called vlokken, which is flakes. So you just take a nice piece of bread and then you spread some butter on it and then you sprinkle hagelslag on it and eat it for breakfast, and that's totally normal.
This sounds fuck. I'm moving to Dutchland or whatever you call it.
Yeah, the Netherlands. Sure, I'm
going there. I'm going from the Arse to the Netherlands.
I've never had it myself. But
You've
when
never
we go
had it?
across, no. But whenever we go across, one of my colleagues, I go to Amsterdam. Like I work for a Dutch company, and so we go across to Amsterdam relatively regularly.
I see. And you've still never had hagelslag?
No,
That's a failing on the part of your Dutch colleagues, I'm afraid.
I will tell them. But a friend of mine, him and his girlfriend love the stuff, and he will make sure there's space in his suitcase so he can go and buy some and bring it back with him.
Have your Dutch colleagues at least made you try pepernoten around November and December? So pepernoten, they are little spiced cookies.
No. To be fair,
I am shocked and appalled by them.
Most of my director is Dutch, and we have one Dutch colleague. But actually, most of my colleagues we've got a couple of Welsh guys. We have a few guys from Ukraine. One guy from Moldova. So actually, I don't work with a lot of Dutch people.
Oh, okay. All right, fine.
And much like yourself, their English is fantastic. Their English pronunciation is fantastic. And so I don't get to practice Dutch sounds a lot. But I do know that the G is almost always the same as their Welsh CH.
Do you only hear Dutch out of them when they're really angry?
No, they
because I've found that repeatedly with people for whom English is a second language. No matter how good it is, if they get really furious, they will articulate that fury in their mother tongue.
I don't know.
It's wonderful.
The Dutch colleague?
Have you never made someone very angry, Ben?
That might also be it. The Dutch colleague that I will be talking to say, why haven't you ever given me
pepernoten and hagelslag?
Exactly. Thank you. He has told me before that there's if you're culturally, you're supposed to be very good at English. And people that are not good at it. So the previous, I can't remember, it's the previous Prime Minister, I think, was not, he didn't pronounce, he was very good at English, but his pronunciation was quite Dutch. And apparently, I was told people would take the mick out of him because he couldn't pronounce English in an English accent. You know, it was did English in a Dutch accent. And because Dutch people speaking English, when they're well practiced, that they are superb.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, but can we just take a moment to acknowledge the enormity of that? That in Dutchland, you get the piss taken out of you for being a public figure, for speaking another language with the accent of your own language.
But English isn't seen as like a big special language, because about 95% of our TV input is in the English language, whether it's British or American.
Okay, so he really was just being a bit thick then.
It's nothing to do with whether you're thick or not. You know, it's just about, gosh, I don't know. I think some people just pick up accents quicker than others. Yeah, because, you know, if his and I don't actually know this necessarily about him, but you know, his actual English may have been very good, but he just might not have been very good at sort of picking up an accent or softening the Dutchness of it all.
Having discussed the brilliance of the Dutch and English, I would like to turn to the Chinese. And my reason for doing this is quite specific. I bought some glue, and here's the box of the glue, guys. It's called T7000, and it was very specific glue that I bought off Amazon. And I bought it because the camera lens glass on my phone had shattered, and I'd got some new glass, but I needed some special glue to fit it, and I did that today, and it's all fine. Anyway, the glue is pretty self-explanatory to use. However, the box, oh my goodness, the box is beautiful. Let me just read you some of the product description on this box, okay? So T7000 multi-purpose adhesive, so far so good. Waterproof, stimulate the taste-free, anti-vibration, flexible, a hint of scent, paintable. Okay, not too weird, but a bit odd. Then we go on. Adhesive is a professional jewelry glue stick drill. Easy to use. Glue viscosity compared with other kind of glue is not easy to fall off. In the footwear, hats, following from DIY class industries widely used. Adhesive excitant, small. Belong to a single set new type, special environmental protection, adhesive transparent, room temperature curing. Do not need other packaging, is easy to operate. Open cover can be used. With high elasticity, soft glue, waterproof. Glue can stick, receive many material. Metal, glass, ceramic, stone, wood, leather, nylon, electronic accessories, plastic accessories, and other material has very good bonding effect. And then, on the top of it, it genuinely says, is a surprise adhesive force. This was a great adhesive. Best-selling Europe and America. Mad fans around the world.
It's a surprise adhesive force. That
is
Mad
quite
fans around the world.
mad
it's quite
fans,
contradictory. It's quite contradictory because earlier they said that the adhesive excitement was small.
Adhesive excitant? What is that?
Wait, it's
baffled.
excitement of the adhesive, or it's excitant?
Yeah. Excitant. EXCITANT.
Sure.
Which is like, is that a thing that excites you?
It's like an accelerant, something that speeds you up. Yeah. I think.
Please use the glue when glasses to keep their distance. It's just makes beautiful.
A bit more sense, but it has reminded me. There was one of the Indians in Aberystwyth, the one opposite Downey's. I can't remember what it was called now, though. I can't remember what the dish was, but it described the dish as something with the maximum amount of tomato puree. And
there is no more, the entire tube.
Anymore, it would not be this dish. It was
wonderful. Oh, that's fantastic. Okay, we'll shoot off to bed in a minute, but before we go, does anyone have any recommendations? I mean, mine is buy some T7000 glue just to read the box because it's brilliant.
I mean, mine is get yourself some, as long as you're not allergic to nuts and you like milk chocolate and peanut butter as a flavor together, get yourself some Montezuma's Butternutter. It's really good.
Ben?
Mine is go back and watch TV shows from when you were little. I've recently been showing Ianto Spider in the Bath, which was it was little, maybe 5 or 10 minute songs. I don't even remember them being songs. And someone's glued them all together on YouTube. And I only remembered like the one, and then it suddenly opens up all this. Oh yeah, no, I remember that.
I don't think I find that lovely. I think I'd find that haunting and frightening. Oh, also like disappointing somehow. I think the magic would be gone, and I want to keep those things magical.
I don't know. Russell's been watching Bagpuss with the girls, and it's still just as magical.
Is he there welling up?
Yeah.
And they're just like, oh.
Mm-hmm. No, they love it. They love Bagpuss.
We've done the same with Postman Pat and Fireman Sam, and the only upsetting thing about Fireman Sam is that after the first few original series, they sold it off and redid all the animation, redid the voices, very unsympathetic. Postman Pat, on the other hand, when they revived it like 15, 20 years after the original series, they brought in new voices, but they were very sympathetic to the original ones. The original voices were done basically by the same person. It was one person that did all of them.
Yeah.
And and the guy that played Postman Pat came back as Postman Pat. So there was a continuity there. And the animation is very sympathetic as well. They're probably not exactly the same, but it's.
Do you think that voice actor was there for decades, waiting by the phone going, it's coming back. It's coming back. The phone rings. I've been waiting for you.
Quite possibly.
My surprise excitant.
Yes. And now we shall leave the arse with our surprise excitant and Postman Pat and go to our bed.
Pull out not a moment too soon.
And pull out not a moment too soon. Man, Mike's not even here, and the filthiness level from you two has just...
What?
just
How
skyrocketed.
is this being put on me? You started it with arse licking of your cookie.
No.
Sounds so dirty now.
Previously on the Infinite Escape Room.
Oh my god, that's going to be that's big.
That's
going to be a sound bite, isn't it?
That really is. Annekoos, that's going to be my ringtone. I'm not going to stop at the show. That's going to be my personal property.
The arse licking of your cookie. I mean,
We put it up for Patreons to have as their ringtones as well.
Oh, Lord. Right, to bed, guys. Dear listener, thank you for enduring or enjoying this episode, this Pubisode of the Infinite Escape Room. If you'd like more of this stuff, this is the kind of crap that gets cut from the main episodes. So if you want access to that, you'll have to join the Patreon. And we will feed your soul with terrible things. You'll also realize if you do join the Patreon, quite how often I cock up in my own puzzle that I wrote, in this case, a week ago and have not touched since because I was so sure it was complete and correct that I got 10 seconds into the intro and realized it was wrong.
that is a surprise excitant that you prepped it that far in advance.
It is. I was so pleased with myself, Annekoos. You cannot imagine how self-satisfied I was when I went, it's done. I'm like a week ahead. It just came to me. I'm that good. No, I'm not. But you are. Enjoy your walk home, listener. Nighty-night.
Night night.
Tatty bite.